Hello everyone, welcome back to Fan League. Game week 29 this weekend. Lots of tough games, huge games of football, including of course that Man United versus Chelsea game. I'm going to give you my bankers, my upsets and my half hedges for game week 29. Last week I won for the second week on the trot, 9 out of 13. Not enough to get me some money, you need 10 out of 13. But still, I'm happy with that. Beating Sven, beating Ian McIntosh and the rest of the guys. Let's get into game week 29 and my picks. Now, I'm going to be honest, I've really struggled with upsets this week because I just think all of the games are so tight, and we are now getting into that difficult part of the season where you are going to struggle to call, which I know is not helpful for this, so I'm just going to give you my gut calls. So I'm going to kick off with my bankers. First one, I'm going to go for Liverpool versus West Ham. I think this is one of the few games that surely you can expect Liverpool to score a lot of goals and essentially win the game. That absolutely hammered them earlier in the season. Of course, West Ham are in a different place then. Bilic has gone, Moyes has come back in, and they've had a little break, which is going to allow them to get a few players back. They need bodies, especially in the centre of midfield. Zabaleta's been playing centre midfield, and that's not what you want. That's not what they bought him for. Liverpool, on the other hand, Mo Salah, 29 goals this season. The guy is on fire, he's unstoppable. They're going away in the Champions League and winning 5-0. They've had a rest as well. Life is good for Liverpool. It's a great opportunity for them. One that they probably stumbled across a lot of times, but I think on this occasion, surely Liverpool will win this one. My second banker is in the game between Leeds United and Brentford. Brentford are flying in the last couple of games. 7 goals without reply against Sunderland and Birmingham. Two teams who, fair enough, they both are struggling. They're both low on confidence. But in Leeds United, you're playing a third team this week. Again, away from home, which should be tough. Leeds United's not an easy place to go to. The crowd's always fantastic at Ellen Road. But Brentford are playing some great football. Players like Ollie Watkins, Malpai. They play great football. And I think when they play against the teams that aren't playing well, they really do just pick them apart. As you've seen from the last two games, winning 2-0 against Sunderland, beating Birmingham 5-0 in the week. This just feels like a total banker for me against a Leeds United side who can't seem to decide if they're a decent side or not. And my final banker this week is Cardiff City versus Bristol City. Now, if you've been watching these videos the whole year, I've just been shocked by Cardiff City. I don't understand what's going on here. I've seen them in the flesh, and the thing with them is, and you've got to give them credit for it, is they have nous in abundance. They are second in the Championship. It's incredible. And they've done so well, and it is down to Neil Warnock. The team, it doesn't have any real superstars, but they get the job done. They've got the physicality to slow a game down, to make a game difficult, and a bit of quality in Junior Hoyler and other players in that team that allows them to get the points that they need. Unbeaten in 6 games. They continue to surprise me, and I'm not falling for it anymore. They're playing a Bristol City side who I like, but they've struggled. They've only won 1 game in 8, and I just feel like this, although you look at the two teams, the two squads, you feel like this is going to be a really tight game, and it might be, but I think the guile and the nous of Neil Warnock and this Cardiff City side, I'm not falling for it this time, and I think this is a banker. They're going to win this one. On to my upsets, and it's really difficult to pick this week because the games are just so tight. I'm going to go an upset here, which I don't know. I feel like I'm cheating a little bit here. But Bournemouth versus Newcastle United. Newcastle beat Manchester United in their last game. So they'll be looking to kind of get some momentum going. But I think against Bournemouth side, who are on similar points, only 3 points difference, I think they're going to struggle. Bournemouth have been really strong at home. Eddie Howe, great manager, has just won Manager of the Month for January. And although they lost their last game against Huddersfield, they've had a nice rest. Both teams have had a decent rest, to be fair. They both haven't played last week in the FA Cup. Both had got knocked out. But I think Eddie Howe's team will be ready for this one. The players will be relaxed and good to go. And I think they've got more quality than Newcastle, and I think that'll tell. My second upset is in the game between Brighton and Swansea. Swansea unbeaten in 10 games. An unbelievable turnaround. They're still in the dogfight in terms of relegation, but they've given themselves a huge chance. It looked like they were totally dead and buried. It's incredible. They're playing a Brighton side who I've been really impressed with, though. And I think they're really strong at the back. I think they've got players who've come up through the Championship and had more to give. They're resolute, and in Jurgen Locadia, I think they've got a striker that's going to be the difference for them. It's a really strong January move for them. He looked a real threat. I know it was Coventry, but he scored in his debut, and I think he's going to not only be a cause of havoc for opposition teams. I think he's going to allow Glenn Murray to score more goals and there to be less pressure on him as well. And I think Brighton are going to be absolutely fine this season. And I think in this game, which is a huge game for them against Swansea, I think they're going to stop that unbeaten run, cause an upset and beat Swansea. And my final upset this week, again, it's in the Championship, and again, it's not really an upset, but I guess the bottom line is that in the Championship, if you're playing at home, you should be winning games of football. And Reading have got a squad and a manager who I like in Yapstam. It's been odd how poor they've been this season, but they have struggled. And the last game I saw them was Millwall versus Reading, and Millwall, they made them quit. They worked too hard and they were too strong for them. Reading should be winning their home games. They need to start winning their home games. But in Derby, you've got a side who've got a great defence. They don't play dodgy football. They don't play themselves into trouble. They've got experienced players. And in Vidra, they've got a striker who scored 17 goals this season, and they are flying. They're not losing many games. They lost their last game, so people might, if they're looking at it with a sort of shallow perspective, they'll see that Derby have lost their last game of football and might be low on confidence, but not for me. These guys are strong and resolute, and Reading are just having a nightmare of a season, and I think Derby will win this one. On to my half hedges, and if you want to check out all my half hedges this week, then you can see them on the Fan League app. But one that I've got to pick out this week and talk about in a bit more depth is Manchester United versus Chelsea. This is a game that is so tight, and for me, has to be half hedged, if not triple hedged, if you've got the cash to do it. So many match winners on both sides. You saw that even in a player like Willian, who's come into the side in the last couple of games and shown incredible form, the ability to score a goal from anywhere on the pitch. And this is a guy who hasn't been starting. They've got Morata on the bench. They've got Giroud as a new signing on the bench as well in their last game against Barcelona, who have been running away with the league in La Liga. And they're playing a Man United side who are at home. They've got Alexis Sanchez now, and they're above Chelsea in the league. And so this is a cracking game of football, by far the best game in the Premier League this weekend. I really am struggling to pick. I'm going with my head on this one, and I'm not going to triple hedge it, but I'm going to go for a home win or a draw. The reason I'm doing that is that home advantage. I've used that theory throughout this year on Fan League, and it's done me well. That said, my gut feels like it's going to be a tight game, and it's going to be an Eden Hazard winner. So I'm covering my bases in my predictions to you guys, but on the slip itself, I'm going for a home win or a draw. But it's going to be a tough game and a great game, and a game that needs to be watched if you're a football fan. So those are my picks for this week. Check out the One for the Weekend podcast on the Ball Street channel. It's a great podcast. We talk about the weekend's big games. We're also going to be talking about the League Cup final this weekend. Good luck with your picks. I hope you can make some money. Big money starting to build up now. And keep playing every single week because you want to be in that end of season prize pot as well. Best of luck.